On a lovely Christmas Eve, a father races against fire to save his daughter trapped in a luxurious tower. Will he save her in time, or is the fire too great? Lee Dae-ho is a single father raising his daughter Hana. On Christmas Eve, Hana asks for snow, and Lee promises this will be the best Christmas ever. He asks Hana to drop by his work after school so they can usher in Christmas together. Lee works as the manager in a 120-story luxurious twin-tower building complex called Tower Sky. At work, Lee has a crush on Yoon-hee, but he's too shy to ask her out even though she can sense his intentions. On this day, the building owner and president, Mr. Jo, is hosting a Christmas party for all the tenants as well as VIPs and South Korean politicians. The whole place is buzzing with excitement for the fun and busy night that awaits them. Some of the tenants include a snotty woman who orders the cleaning staff to clean her dog's excrement despite a rule that states house owners must clean after their pets. The cleaning lady asked to do so has just asked for an advance on her salary so she can pay for her son's university tuition fees. There's also a church elder who brings his church members to see the buildings. In the restaurant, one chef decides to propose to his girlfriend, but the other manager ends up eating the ring accidentally. The chef is so disappointed that he ignores the frying food and they catch fire. The incident is quickly neutralized, but Lee realizes that several things are out of order. For example, the water pipes to the sprinklers are frozen. Elsewhere in the town, Lee Sun-woo reports to the fire station for his first day as a firefighter. The fire chief and captain laugh at him when he says he wants to be the most outstanding firefighter. Sun-woo wants to meet the captain as his heroic tales were most discussed in the academy. However, he is the rookie, so after an embarrassing hazing, he is welcomed into the team. Hana gets to the tower, but she's sad to learn that her father will be busy for most of the night. Determined to help out, Lee's best friend helps Hana trick Yoon-hee into accompanying her all night. Hana is delighted to be spending the night with her father's love interest. Soon it's time for the party. Mr. Jo is informed that the helicopters might have an issue flying due to the strong winds, but he pays to have it happen. The guests are all gathered on the highest floor when the helicopters fly above, dropping snowflakes onto the buildings. Everybody is impressed by this, and Mr. Jo feels that the housing rates will increase. Suddenly, one of the pilots loses control. The chef is proposing to his girlfriend when she points towards the window and shows him the approaching helicopter. It crashes onto the glass bridge joining the two towers and lands on the 63rd floor of the Riverview Tower. The leaking fuel causes a fire to start and it rapidly spreads, causing a major explosion in the service room. Lee is on the ground with a few people looking over the security details when the crash occurs. Anybody that had been in the building scrambled to exit, causing great panic. Lee rushes into the building, intending to save his daughter from what can be predicted to be a colossal disaster. The alarm bell goes off at the fire station and everyone jumps into action. Sergeant Oh wants Captain Kang to go home to his wife as he and the other men will handle this. However, Kang refuses to go home and accompanies the men to the tower. It turns out that the fire department has a crane that can only go up 16 floors. Kang's motto is to put out the fire and then save the trapped people. Oh leads a team into the building and they quickly start ascending the tower to find the burning floor. Meanwhile, Yoon-hee holds on tightly to Hana as she is now her guardian. The two rush to the elevator and Yoon-hee pleads with a man to let Hana on the elevator. The man refuses since the elevator is at full capacity. As the elevator descends, the fire gets in the vacuum and starts burning the people inside alive. Yoon-hee sees the light at the elevator doors. She grabs Hana and runs in the opposite direction, asking people to flee, but they don't. Suddenly, the doors explode, killing quite a number of people, but Yoon-hee and Hana survive. Now they are trapped with no escape route. The firefighters run into Lee and help him avoid exploding walls. Kang wants Lee to go back to safety, but he refuses. He asks Kang what he would do if it were his daughter who was trapped. Kang sympathizes with him and gives him an oxygen mask and a radio to contact him when he finds his daughter. Back on the ground, the mayor wants to rescue people depending on their social status. Lee comes across the cleaning lady from earlier. He helps her and she asks him to save her. Lee explains that he wants to find his daughter. The woman gives Lee the money she collected earlier, asking Lee to ensure that he gives it to her son. This heartbreaking request makes Lee decide to take the cleaning lady along. Kang and his men follow Lee's earlier advice to put out the fire in the server room. All efforts to hose it down don't work, so Kang throws an oxygen tank at the fire so it can burn out. The plan is risky, but it works. However, the fires have spread through floors 60 to 70. Lee meets the chef, who's getting some supplies from the vending machine. The two are happy to see each other, and the chef confirms that Hana is alive at the restaurant where the party was being held. Elsewhere, Mr. Joe learns of the fire spreading into other buildings and wants to activate the firewalls despite warnings that many people will be trapped inside. This makes several walls come down so the fire can be contained in one part of the building. Luckily, Lee, the chef, and the cleaning lady make it to the restaurant. Lee reunites with his daughter and Yoon-hee, but now they are trapped with nowhere to go. Lee contacts Kang on the radio and tells him about the titanium firewalls. Kang promises to get there as soon as he can. On the way, he's intercepted by the mayor, who wants Kang to rescue 10 men suffocating on an upper floor. Kang tells Sergeant Oh to blast the wall while they go to get the men. Kang is upset to discover they had been sent to rescue a politician and his wife, the snotty woman, and their dog. At the restaurant, Hana notices some cracks appearing on the walls. Lee tries to warn the firefighters, but it's too late and Oh falls. The building starts collapsing, so Yoon-hee directs everyone onto a gondola. Lee then asks them to propel the gondola onto the nearest building to avoid plummeting to the ground. Luckily, they manage to get into the building before the gondola crashes. Kang and his men find a critically wounded man who hands over something to Kang for his kids. Kang then mercy kills him with a morphine shot. Lee deduces that the group can escape by ascending onto the floor with the glass bridge to get into the other tower. Meanwhile, Sergeant Oh wakes up and walks around, finding the prayer group who thinks he is an angel sent to save them. Kang and Sun-woo run to the bridge to warn the people against crossing together since it might collapse. Kang marks a safe passage with Sun-woo staying at the end. Hana goes first and the pregnant lady follows. Sadly, a boulder falls off, causing the glass floor to start cracking. The other manager runs to the bridge but ends up falling as the bridge collapses. Everyone assumes that Hana and Sun-woo perish too. On the ground, the team learns that the Riverview Tower will collapse and take down the Cityview Tower. The only option is to demolish Riverview to minimize the damage. The fire chief calls off his men and the detonators are set in the lobby. Kang and Lee drain the building's water tanks to save them time for escape. The various groups reunite and decide to go down through an elevator now that the water from the tanks extinguishes the fire. The brake pads on several levels will help slow down the elevator. The plan is successful and on floor 6 a few people get off. However, the brake pads malfunction and the elevator plummets, taking Yoon-hee, Sergeant Oh, the preacher, and others with it. Kang, Lee, and the others are rescued. Lee is delighted to reunite with his daughter, who survived the bridge collapse and was on the last rescue helicopter ride. Soon, Lee, Kang, Sun-woo, and a few others decide to head back into the building and see if anyone survived the elevator fall. It turns out that Sergeant Oh and Yoon-hee had survived but are running out of air. The team comes up with a rescue plan but have less than 20 minutes until the explosives detonate. The team successfully rescues the people trapped in the elevator. However, Kang realizes he dropped the detonator needed to set off the explosives at the rainwater tanks. This will help carry the people through the drainage tunnel into the river. Kang closes the door to the tanks and shares a tearful goodbye with Sun-woo and Lee, sacrificing himself to save the others. He also sends a voicemail to his wife, apologizing for being a lousy husband. Then he sets off the explosives. The rainwater carries the survivors to the Han River and they are rescued. Yoon-hee reunites with Hana while the cleaning lady reunites with her son. Oh and Sun-woo salute the building in respect to their fallen captain. The camera pans out to show the Cityview Tower had survived the crash and now stands alone in a field of debris.